I know what you're thinking. What in the gosh darn is Bits and Bombs? Bits and Bombs is a podcast deep diving into what it takes to do stand-up from a different comedian every episode. Follow new open micer Peter Doms in his journey to be an okay comic.
Lily Mitchell.
Yeah, that's me. That was the name my vessel was gifted.
Didn't have much choice on that.
Yeah, no. Although some people say your soul decides to come back to the earth, so maybe I did.
Mate, yeah.
Maybe. Who was I before?
Yeah, let's dive into this. Let's unpack this.
Ronald Langshman decided to be Lily Mitchell. Sorry, what are we doing?
Wait, would you Ronald?
Ronald?
So Ronald, when?
Sorry, just let me go back to my past life.
Yeah. When was your first gig?
My first gig? Oh, yeah, back in the 200 AD. You might have heard, because if I'm Ronald, anyway. So stupid. Lily's first gig.
This is the whole podcast is jumping between two characters.
Two souls. Actually. No, two generations.
Twin
of my
flames.
Soul. Twin flames. Oh my god, imagine if your twin flame's name was Ronald. No offense, Ronalds.
No. Fuck, they've turned off the podcast. They're done.
True, because you just kind of run this through. Hey, you don't edit it.
Oh no, I can't be fucked. Like,
fuck.
If I say anything embarrassing, it's just there.
It's just there, all right.
It's just there. Yeah.
My first gig. Yeah, okay, let's get on some 8-track then. Fuck. Hi, thanks for having me.
No worries. Thanks for coming.
I'm like, please, can we redo? No, you can't with ADHD. We know that well. There's no redo.
There's no redo. This is
it. Damn, this is why I need to get myself diagnosed. Get a little space between them thoughts, you know? Yeah, all right, let's talk comedy then. My first gig was Brat Pack. Would that have been 2022? I don't know.
2020.
I think 2022.
Yeah, I think because I moved here in 2022. I think
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, we started around the same time.
Yeah, there you go. Brat Pack 2022.
Mm-hmm.
First gig. And I was encouraged by friends to sign up and do it. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like a weird, I'd never even thought of trying this thing. And then I just signed up and then I just did it. It was pretty, not a lot of thought into that.
That's a big comp, right? The Brat Pack.
Yeah, good chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was number one.
Yeah.
Uno.
They work as heats, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how'd you go with like your heat?
I don't know. I didn't win.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I did all right for my first time. It was yeah. No, I was really nervous though. I was super nervous and yeah, I just picked like a bunch of stories that I told in groups of friends or something. Mm-hmm. And then I remember like having my phone, typing it out like last minute exactly what I wanted to do. And there was a guy behind me, and because I have like Zoom on my phone to see properly, I wrote just like disabled like as a dot point. And the guy behind me was like, "Are you disabled? I'm mentally ill as well." And, and I don't know if that guy ever did it again, but yeah, that was just like this funny moment of like, oh, that's right, other people can read my shit. I forgot about that. But yeah, no, it was fun. Obviously, I kept doing it. So, but yeah, that was number one. That feels like 5 years ago, but it's only been 2 because I'm a baby. But baby comic, baby funny.
Yeah, early days.
Early days, very early days. And you look at like other people online and stuff that like do acting and other creative things, and they're like, oh, I just was in my first feature at the age of 8. I played Elliot in E.T. And you're like, what was I doing when I was 8? I was probably a little too aggressive for my own good, and I don't know what I was doing when I was 8. But
were you ever like into the? I feel like were you ever into like the theater stuff as a kid though, or like because we're talking before the podcast. We were talking about how you play like violin and stuff. Was that like were you an 8-year-old doing violin?
I was. Oh yes,
Yeah.
I was an 8-year-old doing violin. Yeah, and I'd started piano by then. I was always like very theatrical and liked to play like make believe a lot. I used to do this thing where I'd sit in a TV cabinet because we had one of those old box TVs with like the switches, like you didn't have a remote, and it didn't actually fit into the TV unit that my parents had. So I used to actually sit in there and pretend to be on Play School and read my sister's stories. And now that's kind of funny because I've put that Play School bit into my set sometimes, and I look back and I'm like, my inner child probably really does want me to be on Play School. Yeah. Like, I want to be the blind chick on Play School. Yeah, so I loved reenacting. Oh, Mr. Harley Davidson. It's actually my dad. He does that.
If the mics can pick that up, they probably did. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was definitely playing music, doing a lot of art, a lot of drawing. And yeah, I don't remember doing like heaps of acting. I was going to say hella heaps of acting. But definitely on the creative side of things like art and that sort of thing. Yeah, but no, I didn't really think about acting too much till a bit later, or like performing. I remember once I was 8 and there was the talent show at school, and I wanted to flamenco dance because I had this Spanish-ish looking skirt, and found some music. Mum put it on like a cassette tape for me to take to school, and I did no prep, like never practiced. My dad was side stage and he was literally like, "Are you sure, Lil?" And I was like, "Yeah." I had like this outfit picked out and I just went out there and just kind of stomped my feet around and waved my arms in the air with zero prep. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to flamenco dance in front of my entire school. So yeah, I did stuff like that. And I did a little bit of acting. I remember I once played an elderly woman in a school thing, and I just came out and pretended to not be able to walk very well and wore my mate's glasses. But no, I did a lot of dance though. My sister and I, we did dance and music, but yeah, getting up and talking on a stage didn't come till later. But people had told me since I was like 10 that I should be a comedian, or I would just have strangers meet me. I worked in retail, and then they'd be, "Oh my God, you're so funny, you should be a comedian." And then I would always just like brush it off like, no. But I heard it so often, at least like 4 or 5 times a year, people would just say it. And like I might just meet them, or I'd known them for ages. It was just really weird. It started off with like close friends and family, and then just people of the public were like, people of the public. That sounds like
my fellow Americans.
Sounds like the council, the Star Wars, like the Republic. Yeah, people would just like, strangers started telling me after meeting me not very long, and then but yeah, I just ignored it for ages because I was like, I don't know if me being funny, topically funny in a conversation between people translates on stage, and I just never really thought about it. So that was interesting. But now that I've started comedy, people stopped saying it. So it was almost like the fucking universe was like, hello, be a comedian. And then they just sent someone every 3 months for 10 years. Like, you should be a comedian. You should be a comedian. And I was just like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, get aligned, you idiot. Like, follow your destiny, you idiot. Like, it's so weird. And then I kind of got distracted because I loved high school drama, but I grew up Northern New South Wales, so a lot of like beachy people, like a lot of stoners, a lot of like kind of the stereotypical like blonde hair. Oh, like what am I trying to be? Something I wanted to be when I was like in high school. No, the blonde hair, blue eyed thing, and like yeah, just everyone would like do a lot of sport and that sort of thing. But in drama, you know, kids were too cool. So I used to like go 110 and just feel so bad. Like just people would just stare at me while I was doing drama. Like, oh my God, you know, that
So
kind of like.
you were like you were into it where everyone was like in that
Yeah.
awkward stage where they're trying to be like
Yeah.
kind of cynical about it, like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
too cool for this, but we
Yeah.
have to do it. Like, so we have to do it, not
Yeah.
we're doing it because we love being creative or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, we're too cool for even, like, we're too cool for school. We're too cool to even be here half
Yeah.
the time, let alone, like, actually commit. So when I picked subjects in year 11 and 12, I didn't do drama. I picked
Yeah.
biology. Lol.
Yeah.
I do remember one thing. The phospholipid biolayer is a little layer around the cells. It helps balance the water of the cells. I could get that wrong. That's probably wrong. But yeah, that's the only thing I fucking remember.
Yeah, I was a little bit opposite because I went to a school where we didn't have drama as an option, and then like that school went up to like grade 10, and then I went to a school that did, so I got to do drama for like senior, like 11 and 12.
So everyone was like, "This is what we're doing."
By that point, it wasn't like people that were there were like there to like they were into it kind of thing, like because they chose to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't something they were kind of funneled into.
Yeah.
But I found I was struggling because I didn't have like the stuff that led up before that. Like I didn't get to do like the drama games or any of those things that kind of get you comfortable.
Yeah. Me, you.
In that like in those situations. But yeah, so it's interesting about how you said like a lot of your stories that you might, or conversational things that you when talking to people, you're telling stories, they don't translate to stage necessarily.
Well, I thought they wouldn't.
But they did.
They did.
They did. Yeah.
They did really well.
And what was your process on like translating that? Were you like focused on like not making like say what was the difference between telling that story to someone face to face and on stage? Like were you?
Yeah, I had I loved watching comedy, but I'd never analyzed it. Like I've never been like so into it. Like for me, I guess for some comedians that are really into like the technical side of it, that was film for me. So I got obsessed with filmmaking and that sort of thing, and kind of derailed doing any drama and performing by doing film and learning about how that side of it, like the production side. So for me, when I look at like watch a film, I'm there like picking it apart, unless it's a good one. That's what I was like, I'm not gonna analyze it if it's good. There's not a lot of that. No, just kidding. So when I went into comedy, because two of my friends who had already been doing comedy, basically my birthday's in December, so the Brat Pack was in January, and so they were like, sign up. So I kind of got like pushed into signing up.
Yep.
And I've always been really good like that. Like as a kid, like I told this story like I think yesterday to someone, like someone said to me, "Oh, you're really good at like pushing through," but actually like I can be quite like, I'll sit back a lot of the time unless sometimes I need a bit of a kick to get going. And I was that kid that would like get dragged onto a roller coaster, like kicking and screaming. But then I would be the one that like afterwards going, let's do it again. I was like that crazy. Like once you're there, you enjoy it. Yeah. I absolutely like, I resist change with every cell of my body. But then as soon as the change happens, I'm like, oh fuck yeah. And like I completely forget about all the resistance I had. So basically I had my mate like Max Drummond, he was sending me the Brat Pack to sign up. Like he sent it a few times, he didn't just send it once. He was like, have you done it yet? And he was like checking me, and then I just did it and I was like, okay, I'll do it. You know, ADHD, you gotta once you find the inspiration to do something, you gotta just follow that adrenaline and just follow through. So I signed up, and then I didn't really, the only thing I thought about is just like what stories I had known, like that I knew that had worked with friends and family. Yeah. And my favorite ones also, because I don't know if it's like having a disability or just my nature, just I do a lot of, often think of consequence. So a lot of stupid shit happens in my life or funny situations. So I kind of picked like 4 or 5 things that were like my favorite stories that I thought were funny, which doesn't always work, as you know. It's like, I think this is hilarious, and an audience is like, I think again. Like,
yeah, I'll be the judge of that, pal.
yeah. Do you mind? Like, in Brizzy anyway. Like, I think. So yeah, I kind of just went out with like. And then I zoned into just like wanting to say things in a funny way. Like I completely kind of dissociated from like like what I was doing. It was kind of like, oh, this is what I need to say because I'm so forgetful. I got so like into the details that yeah, I didn't really like think too much into it. And I also with comedy have never had any expectations because it's something that even though I've been told that I should try it so often, it's never been something like it was just never something I thought of. So for me, it was like it was almost like something that was new to try that was brought to me versus me seeking out something new. So for me, I was like, I don't know what this is. So I'm not going to assume anything because I know nothing about doing this. Like I'd played music and I've done a few like performances in music and little band tours and stuff, but you're behind an instrument then and you're focused on the music for that. So I was like, I did have one assumption that it might be similar just to music because there's a microphone and a stage. But yeah, I didn't really have any expectations. So it was just like, yeah, going out there and trying to tell all the stories I wanted to without forgetting. And then, so I had no concept of like, like slowing down, waiting for laughs, breathing, like taking it easy. It was all just kind of like, oh my God, I'm here. And like, and I just rode that like nerves, the chaos. And because Brat Packs for beginners or people that haven't done it very often, everyone's there as friends and family. So,
those comps are always, super encouraging and like,
but also packed as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I've always, whenever like a camera's been on or, I've always like jumped in front of cameras and stuff, even when I was really little, like, so, and even when I went through film school, I created projects and I put myself in front of the camera and stuff. So I have no issue with like attention. So but it was like, it was weird. Like that packed audience, I wonder if that's why I guess we all prefer a bigger audience maybe, but I really don't like a small audience. And I wonder if that's because of that first gig was so way it was, or if that's just what I don't know.
Bigger the crowd is bigger the audience is definitely easier because I remember the first gig I did was like, 60 people or something at an open mic in Mackay. Yeah. And then the next gig there was like a lot less, and I could it's like that's where nerves really hit me because it's like
you can count them on your hand how many people are looking at you.
When it's a big crowd, you can kind of just skim across. You can glaze over.
Yeah, totally.
Like just a sea of heads, not really have to focus on what any individual person is doing. Where when it's like 10 people or whatever, you can see someone's on their phone right now. Yeah. Those people are talking. You can kind of see what everyone is doing. Yeah. And you can see them looking at you directly and make eye contact with them. Yeah. And that's where, like, for me, the nerves really, really come out. And I feel like I'm getting better with that now. And I kind of am chasing the smaller gigs a bit more because that getting comfortable with that awkward, I feel like, just makes you stronger.
Totally.
And for me, it's like, okay, because I used to, like, pull back jokes. Like, I'd cut jokes, like cut my set shorter just to get it over and done with. Now I'm like, if I can just stick through everything I plan to do, I do it, and I deliver everything I would. For me, it's like trying to focus on delivering it the same way I would if there was, 100 people.
That seems really smart. I wish my brain worked that way. I'm just like,
it took quite a while to focus. Yeah.
I'm like, this is me in this moment. It won't be the same again. I really resonate with that. Like, even though I can't see much detail when I'm up there, a little, for anyone who doesn't know, a bit of retina disease over here. Woo woo. But yeah, when it is that sea of people, like obviously like the lights are quite blinding for all of us, but for me especially, like that's all I can really see is just bright light. And I think when it's a smaller crowd in a smaller room with less harsh lighting, even I start seeing and feeling people on an individual level, and it freaks me out because I'm not used to seeing in it day to day. Like I'm used to kind of doing my own thing, and I'm in my own head a lot of the time, and the detail that I do see is quite intentional. Like I like I'm here and I can see you in quite a lot of detail, but it's because I've known you for a certain amount of time and I've been here before, so my brain remembers things so that I'm seeing the world in more detail because I'm familiar. So
you're kind of filling in the blanks.
And also like if I've spent more time around someone or a space or something like that, like that's where I get a lot of my detail is in the more kind of intimate connections with friends and family. So then when I start noticing detail with strangers, which I'm sure able-bodied sighted people do all the time, like they can make eye contact and connect on that level, it freaks me out because I'm like, for me, detail is quite a vulnerable thing because I'm living every day quite with not a lot of detail, and I've only just realized this in this moment, by the way, so this is fucking cool. That's probably why it freaks me out so much, is because if I can see you and gauge how you're feeling about my performance, it's almost like we should be friends in that moment, but we're not. And it's like an unsafety there of like, I shouldn't be able to see your watch, sir. Like in my life, that means that we're really close.
That's really interesting.
So, wow. Okay, cool. We're learning things. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, because when you have low vision, everything's sound or feeling. And so for me, the visual and having visual detail, that takes time to kind of build over time with people that I'm around and want to spend time with. So yeah, it makes so much sense why a smaller audience freaks the fuck out of me, because I'm getting that information with strangers that I don't usually get in my day-to-day, and that's reserved usually for people that
you've built the trust with and things like that.
Wow. Holy shit. Anyone else feel that?
Is this relatable?
Is this even relatable? I need to tell my sister about this. I'm excited. My hand's got low vision too, so I'm just like, oh my God, Han. Yeah, because I have a joke about how when I catch eye contact with someone, I really feel uncomfortable and I'm so aware of it. But it's not even just that. It's because that is a place for very specific people in my world. Ooh. Sorry, that probably peaked. Wow, comedy. Ooh, it's so much. It's such a teacher. Like I didn't have too many assumptions about comedy because I just had no idea how you did it and what the craft was and anything. But what I've learned in the last 2 years is like it teaches you so much. Yeah. I've not been so confused or overwhelmed or like had to deal with like boundaries and communicating and energy of different people, and it has like I think I've personally grown so much from doing it, and also definitely accepting myself, like because my sister was talking about how we both have the same condition, but me taking a cane on stage and kind of what that's done for me in terms of like she can see that I've accepted myself more over the last few years, whereas she feels a little more reserved about advocacy and she wants to step into that more. And it's like taught me like, so I didn't expect to like be learning. Like obviously I expected to learn the craft, but I didn't expect to learn so much doing comedy, like in terms of socially and like other people's psychology, my psychology.
And it's also like, because our gigs are like during the week and like you're putting yourself in social situations, like it's probably a lot rarer for you to go out on like a Tuesday and those type of things. Like especially when you start to pick up more gigs, you're kind of locking yourself into like a social schedule every week too, which I feel like will build those skills up just naturally.
Yeah, totally. And it can be very overwhelming, especially like I've always assumed I am an extrovert for sure. Like I get a lot of energy from seeing other people. And when I'm at home too much by myself, I'm like, I can't do the dishes. Am I even a human? Like, stupid. Of course you are. You're just one that can't do the dishes. But
yeah,
like,
me too.
yeah, right. Fucking hell. I didn't learn about ADHD till 2020.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? So.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have had this brain in this way since forever.
Yeah.
Like, I look back and I'm like, so many red flags. Hey, like the fact that I wasn't allowed sugar, red flag. The fact that had no impulse control and decided to like torment people, red flag. You know, like didn't understand why putting gum in someone's hair would be a problem. Come on, red flag. You know? But I don't even know why I brought that up. ADHD. But yeah. It's so crazy. Like, and I feel like stand up attracts neurodivergency, and now I'm meeting all these people and vibing and realizing that like, yeah, I'm learning more about it through comedy as well. Like, yeah, it's crazy. And I've the most compliments I've gotten throughout the last few years. I started talking more about ADHD and trying to get diagnosed, and I'm still on that journey because I find it really hard to follow up referrals. So I'm on my 6th referral and my 2nd appointment booked for a psychiatrist. It's crazy. The compliments I've gotten from public, like the strangers, has been the neurodivergent jokes.
Yeah.
So that's been really lovely too. That like, I thought there was something wrong with me and wrong with my brain, and now it's like, other people are resonating with my comedy. Yeah. Which is crazy. I don't even, because like I feel like I talk about myself. I'm quite self-deprecating and like my own journey with vision loss and stuff. That I never think that it's that like, what's the word? Relatable. Yeah, I never think it's that relatable, and then people have been saying, oh, thank you for mentioning that. I'm like, what did I mention? So that's been really lovely, like finding connection in new ways. But yeah, I think Hello Fly, Hallo, Hallo, yeah, being mindful of that social booking all that in. Yeah. You got to be mindful. I do anyway.
It's easy to burn out.
Yeah, because even if I've only got one gig in a week, we were talking about this on the walk here, like our brain, our energy goes to the thing. So like, even though I'll have a gig on a Wednesday, I'll be there like the Saturday before, like thinking about it. Yeah. And then I won't even be thinking about it, but on a subconscious level, I'm putting energy towards it. Yeah. So then I just can't do anything else.
Do you find that you're someone that, like, say if you work, so you have like a shift on like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, your whole day is spent just being like, I have work to do. Like, it just kind of takes up a big part of your brain, being like just something in
the waiting.
The waiting that happens to me a lot too. The
perceived waiting, because we could fill our day.
You can feel it, but you can't. Yeah.
But for some reason, we're like, oh, I gotta. Do you think it's a memory retention thing where we don't want to forget? So we're just, our energy's going, that thing's coming up.
Maybe I feel
don't know.
like. Yeah, I don't know. That's just like I'll still do things, but you kind of do like a lot less in your day.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I don't know. That always fucked with me too. Like when I worked in retail, I had to like work at 4 o'clock or whatever. Just like be like, because it's like, yes, I work at 4, but then I have to be start getting ready at like 2. And
yes. Yeah, it's like you asked me, do you have anything planned for today? And I was like, no, this was it. Because this is where my energy is. Like, the fact that you messaged me last night and I was like, thank you for forgetting to respond to me and respond to me now. Because even though I definitely knew, like I knew I had to come here. Yeah. I had forgotten.
No, that's good.
I had forgotten. I saw your like little face pop up and I was like, oh yeah. Because my whole energy that day was organized house. Yeah. And so completely forgot. And it's so...
And it was in your calendar too, wasn't it?
I wrote... Yeah, hand wrote it. Hand wrote it? It was written down. she be pen to paper in large print, baby. Like pod. I just did POD.
Yeah.
But yeah, the calendar was flipped over, face down. I don't know if that's
that might be a part, yeah,
like
that might
a
be part of
subconscious thing. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna put the calendar to bed.
Well,
Night.
don't need that constant reminder.
Yeah. Night.
Yeah. So could we talk about your? I want to talk a little bit about like your like
Yeah.
you said like the visual journey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like your
In terms of vision loss.
yeah,
or-
the vision vision loss journey.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
I've brought a vision board.
yeah.
Yeah. But how does she do it if she's blind? Oh, well, partially sighted, bitch. Who am I attacking? A very specific head nurse at a hospital once was like, couldn't grasp how I was a painter. Even though I was, anyway, stupidity. It's just the perception of what blind is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use the word blind, that's got a very visual meaning to society. So I understand the ignorance and misconceptions. But what would you like to know? Just like the whole, like a little...
because I know that like somewhere in your life, like you weren't always visually impaired.
No.
hey? Yeah.
I was a humble, I was going to say humble able-bodied kid, but I was
Yeah.
probably quite a prick actually. All you able-bodied folks are pricks. No, you're not. Yeah, no, I was, I had an eye test when I was 7 years old. Like, you kind of like a normal checkup. You've started school after a few years. I suppose they do those. They do those. And I had got my results back, perfectly normal eyesight. Mum went and got my ears pierced. It was a thing. It was fun. So, yeah, I didn't really like think much of that, obviously, and just kind of kept living my life. But then once my sister, she's younger. Mum says 27 months. We're 2 years and 3 months. She's a little bit younger than me. By the time she got to 7 years old, our piano teacher and her teachers at school kind of noticed her like struggling to read things. At piano lessons, she would like lean really far to look at sheet music, and then she used to scoot really close to a TV, like, and mum and kids do that all the time. Mum thought it was a normal kid thing of like, I can't see, and then they're just trying to get closer. Maybe believe your kids, parents. If they can't see, maybe they really can't fucking see. So anyway, we kind of like as in I had no clue what was going on, but Mum ended up going down the path of like going to an optometrist and trying to suss it out, and then we realized she was like losing sight, or she had already lost it. I don't really know the timeline. When I talk to her, she doesn't quite remember having sight, but you can see in photos of when we were kids, because with my eye condition I don't have central vision, so looking at a defined spot somewhere like a camera is really hard when you have a big chunk of your vision missing. So you can see at least my eyes start to like shift to the side of a lens slowly, so you can literally see me from 1 year to the next, like I'm looking dead straight to a camera, and then like 6 months later I'm like not. It's like, wait, I'll do it now. So yep, and then 6 months it was this, like crazy. I don't know if anyone could see that, but yeah. So for me, I'd watched my sister get diagnosed with cone rod dystrophy. It's a bit of fun. It basically affects the cones and the rods in the retina, and they are the light receptor cells that make up the retina that help absorb light, that then gets sent up the optic nerve, and then your brain does all the thinking to see. So yeah, I thought I couldn't get it because I was like, well, I've been 7 and I had my eyes tested and they were perfect. So I'm immune to this disability business.
I'm too powerful.
Yeah, literally. I had a little chip on my shoulder because my sister was now my blind sister, and I was like, but I'm fine. So even I was ableist. Like, yes, I was 9 and maybe I should let that go. And I can hear my sister's voice going, let it go. It's fine. But yeah, I did get quite, sorry, Mr. Fly. yeah, I did get quite like, I don't know if I was upset for her. My parents were going through a divorce at the same time. So I was already like quite angry and like, so yeah, I wasn't very understanding about it. And then, because our parents split, we ended up having to, at each of their houses, like share rooms. And so we ended up getting a lot more closer because of the divorce. And then, 2 years later, I was reflecting on this with mum because I've started writing about it because I've never really like gone into depth and revisited what happened. But I basically walked into class one day and I used to sit 3 rows back from the front, fine. And I just like sat and looked up at the board, which was like white chalk on the blackboard, and I just couldn't see anything. Like I could see there was letters, but it was just blurry, and I was just like, okay. And I'd just seen Han get diagnosed like 18 months before, like maybe not even 2 years. So I just told my teacher, which was the best substitute teacher ever, Mrs. LK. We would literally brag to other students that we had her as a sub because she's like this awesome, quirky art teacher. And so I literally walked into class and we're literally like sticking the fingers up at the class across from us, like as they get their normal teacher, and we're like, we got Mrs. LK. So we like went in and we were literally like buzzing. Like we had her for a week. Like Mr. Good is on leave. Like it was like, yeah. And because she was a sub, she'd recently had my sister, so she was all across Hannah, and like literally we were talking to Han. She went through basically majority of year 2 just listening. Like she couldn't read anything. She wasn't diagnosed. And I was like, as a 7-year-old to like get through a year of school with no support, and like she was just sitting there like figuring it out with her brain with no visual context. And I'm like,
Jesus.
and she's really good at dance, and like her spatial awareness of her own body and her kinesthetic awareness, that's what it's called, apparently, is so good. And I don't know if it's because she was literally like, that was how she was living undiagnosed, was like problem solving and understanding things like conceptually from like she could picture it in her head, but she couldn't read anything or see anything. And I was just like, I don't know how she did that. That was like literally crazy. But yeah, because my sister had the same substitute teacher, I just put my hand up and I was like, oh, Mrs. LK, like I can't see the board. And then my next memory is just being moved up closer to the front, and I was still struggling. And then she was like, you might have what your sister has. And then I went home and told mum. And because Hannah had been diagnosed and had all the supports kind of coming in and stuff like that, they didn't even second guess. Like they started support for me straight away. Like they started giving me teacher's aids and touch typing lessons, because if you can't see your hands, like to learn how to type properly is really important for blind people. So yeah, touch typing and like large print stuff. Like they just automatically started supporting me. Basically, yeah, by the end of the year, I had then been, so it was like a 6-month decline of like things are blurry to legally blind, and I was diagnosed in the school holidays before I started high school because it was my last year of primary school. So basically the last 6 months, which sounds actually quite traumatizing, but but I'm good with it now. The last 6 months of my final year of primary school was just like getting through, and then by the time I started high school, I had cone rod dystrophy. Yeah. But before that, no, nothing really popped up except for Hannah's experience, and then mine started as well. So yeah, it's definitely a genetic thing, and anyone can get it. Like we have a friend who has the same condition, and it's a mutation. So it's in the human. It's just can be something that you can get as a recessive gene thing, or a mutation, which just means like genes aren't doing what they're meant to be doing in terms of the light being absorbed into the eye, and then anyone can really get it. And so it's
okay. So in your family, like, is there any other like cases of?
My mum has a second cousin who may or may not have something similar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My mum's English. When she went over to visit, it's not polite to ask Alexander about his condition over dinner. So, you know, I don't know. We don't really, I've got to reach out to, it probably would be better though if I reached out to him myself. But he does similar things. He uses his peripheral vision. He has large print. He has decided, I think, from what my understanding is, to kind of like live his life as normal as possible. So we don't know. It's called also. It's got a different diagnosis name to ours because it's in the UK. But potentially one of my mum's second cousins might, and then her father's colorblind, and colorblindness can be a part of this sort of. Sorry, I just flicked the microphone there. Can be a part of our condition. So potentially the colorblindness in the family could suggest that it's more prominent. But yeah, it's no one else has it that we know of. And it's pretty rare. It's a 1 in 40,000 chance of it affecting a child. So like my sister and I are like 2 in 800. Wait, 800? What am I writing?
Whoa.
It also affects your math.
Well, that might be the ADHD.
Yeah. And then later I found out about ADHD, and I always thought it was my vision that made me absent-minded and a bit silly. But my sister obviously has the same condition, and her brain functions very differently to mine. And I just remember someone telling me about their diagnosis with ADD, and I was just like, I resonate with every single thing on that list. What the actual fuck? And then I was like, oh my God, it's not my vision. It's my vision and my brain. So I have object impermanence and I can't see the objects. It's actually hilarious, but still on that journey. But yeah, I don't know. I had this perception as a kid, like you could only have one thing. Like you could only be disabled.
You get your one.
You can only be
trait.
queer. You can only be like you can't have like more to your personality. I don't know why I thought that.
Okay.
And now I'm like, oh, ADHD.
I think it might. Do you think it's also because like as a kid you're picking up that sometimes people are kind of treated as as one thing, like in terms of like. Do you think that's just you picking up like a societal thing?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, potentially. Because, like, I guess we are so used to, like, boxes and being put in boxes and people breaking out of the boxes.
Yeah.
But I think because I had been defined by being legally blind or, like, have low vision for so long, and it was a big part of my identity because of sport. Like, I wanted to be a Paralympian for ages. So my whole world revolved around that one thing that I think I, like, kind of hyper-focused on that being my identity and didn't really understand that, knock, knock, that you could do more, like, or be more things, which I think maybe is just a normal sort of growing up learning about humanity and yourself thing, because I feel like that's pretty normal to just be like, I'm this, and then you're like, well, you're 12. How do you?
and it's also like, I guess, you know, when you start that journey, like that's something that you want, that one journey that you're going on. That's gonna be like we were talking about earlier about having like comedy or whatever taking up that brain space.
Yeah.
That's gonna be your life for a while because that's the main thing you're just trying to focus on.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a ADHD thing that I actually couldn't perceive more of myself because I didn't know it was there, or I was so focused on who I thought I was, or I don't know, because I feel like it was a very subconscious thing. I just realized one day being told about my friend's diagnosis, like, oh, you can be more than one. Like, that makes so much sense.
So you said something about earlier too about that you didn't really know about ADHD until like 2020. Is that when your journey of being like, oh, maybe this is what I'm...
Literally, that was the, like, right before the pandemic, I think. I did some career mentoring with the uni that I was at, and my mate, so they got, oh, that's such a bad sentence. My friend and I were from the creative side, so I was studying film and she was doing her honours in photography, and they wanted outreach mentoring from different degrees, and they had no one from the creative degrees yet. So they reached out to people in creative sectors. So when they were visiting schools, they had a more well-rounded sort of mentors that were not just all from business or law. And I was like, yeah, creative's the thing. That's a good idea. So yeah, she was doing photography and I was doing film. And then, yeah, she was telling me about her diagnosis before the pandemic. And then I was just like, I just had a whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. And we got along really well. And I find that with neurodivergent people, we do like we get it.
Yeah.
You get it. It's ow. Yeah, and then I think she might have said something about if that resonates with you, maybe you should look into it, sort of thing. And then I hyper-focused for the next year and a half, especially during the pandemic, because I'd had an accident at the track, and I'd quit my coach. So my athlete identity was crumbling around me because I was supposed to be an athlete in my head, but I don't have to do anything. You can just be. There's value in just being. But anyway, so I was like quite depressed. And then I found out about ADHD. And so I was just like, and because it resonates so much, you get excited because it's creating dopamine because it relates to you, that I was just like doing so much research. And I was just like, it's all me. It's all me. Like, this is crazy. Like, what the fuck? Why do we have to find out that shit? Like, I guess if you get diagnosed when you're a kid, it might be different. But as an adult, it's like, why do we have to do all these personal, like, why isn't it just like, this could be a thing? Instead, it's just like, you got to find out from a wizard down a well that maybe ADHD exists. And then you got to go on your philosophy journey across the fucking Hobbiton just to figure out that, other brains exist. Like, it's like this weird, like...
And by the way, he's Ritalin.
You're like, why didn't my past soul tell me this? Ronald!
Yeah, it's funny because I was diagnosed as a kid.
Yeah.
But because of that, it's always like ADD.
Yes.
It's always just been something kind of just like...
Oh, yeah.
That's something I have. And I'm like, I can't focus, ha ha ha. And for like a lot of my...
Oh, it's a quirk. It's not a serious thing. Well, like, I haven't eaten in weeks.
I find like my parents like always like helped finding, like they never they never medicated me. No. Which I think's good, right? Because it's like they were like, what the fuck? We're not going to give this 9-year-old kid or 8 or whatever, 8 or maybe I was like 7 or 8. Yeah, I was super young. Yeah. And they were like, Ritalin, and mum's like, no. And I think that personally, I think that's like a good choice. Yeah. But yeah, so now I feel like even just talking to you, like a lot of people my age are starting to like kind of go on their journey, and I didn't realize like how much of a fuck around it is to get diagnosed at this age.
You with your paper as a 9-year-old.
Yeah. I've been ADD. I've been on this journey. But it's funny because I've never I've never really like looked into it or like learned more about what this is. So even just talking to you about it, like I've been like, oh yeah, it takes me ages to like clean my room, and you're like, oh, that's just the ADD.
Yep.
And certain things like that.
Yeah. And it's so valid that like what I love is like you had the diagnosis from a kid and you've kind of just been doing you. Yeah. But I don't know if you've ever felt different to those around you, but it feels like you've been really comfortable in that since that age. I don't know. Yeah. Am I wrong in that? It just seems like...
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely...
You don't other yourself.
No.
You're just like doing you. Like that's really cool because I feel like...
Yeah.
When you find out later, you're like comparing and you're like, whoa. Whoa.
I think as well, like, I think I grew up in a time where I wasn't really allowed to...
1975.
Yeah. A lot of...
whisper on the wind.
Just talking to kids, my other kids and stuff, be like, oh, yeah, I have ADD. They'd be like...
What's that?
I'd always get everyone has trouble paying attention. Like, it was always... But now, it's like... almost become like a trend, I feel, as well. Like, and maybe it's just more people discovering, but I feel like there is a lot more people just being like, yeah, I have it. And I'm like, but you deny it. Like, you were also denying that it was a thing that I had years ago. And now it's like, I don't know.
I had a internship and it was like more officey 9 to 5, which I've not done much of being a creative. But I realized how much it does affect that space, like having to sit at a desk between 9 to 5. And I did pretty well. I think when school gave me a routine and uni gave me a routine and my mum made my lunches in my bed, I was doing really well. But then after finding out, I've also done a lot of like healing from my like background. So I'm a lot more like sensitive to things now, and I think I've just been on such a big healing journey that like I'm not as like resilient. And also I found out a lot about how with ADHD and ADD, you're chasing dopamine constantly, so you're really relying on living your life on adrenaline, which is really bad for your body. You're basically sending your body into survival mode just to fucking get stuff done. And that's why a lot of people become addicts or athletes or that sort of have their addictions or workaholics is the other thing that people with ADHD get, because they're using that momentum of the adrenaline to achieve, because without it they can't do anything really. It's like all or nothing kind of thing. So when I learn about that, and a lot of people will have heart attacks in their 40s and 50s because of it, and I was like, I had realized that I was overloading my plate with athletics and uni and work, and I was doing like 2 jobs, and I was just like, oh, I'm doing that. I kind of had this reality check of like, you're living your life based on adrenaline versus like really checking in with myself, like, do I have the energy for this? There was no like checking in. I was just burning myself out.
And also like when you're spinning like 4 or 5 plates, like
it's fun. Oh boy,
you're gonna drop some of those plates.
You almost want to, like, you want the drama, like, makes it exciting, like Cat in the Hat, this bitch, like, I don't know where I got that. That was just the hat spinning thing. The plates, not the hats. Cat, what? Meow.
So back to comedy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it influences my comedy.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. And I'm sure yours.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much.
Oh, no, not really, actually. I feel like, I guess, like, I've backed away from it a little bit. I don't know. Which
is totally fair. I had this moment about a year and a bit in of like, do I want to, I was saying, I might have said it to you too. I want to challenge myself to an able-bodied set, because
I feel like I've heard you say something like,
I've now retracted that in my mind. Whose narrative is that? Why, as a disabled person, do I feel like to fit in or to challenge myself rather than talking about my experience because it makes people uncomfortable? I should challenge myself to an able-bodied set. And I don't know where that narrative came from. Hey, like, that was so weird. And it was like, I wanted to see if I was funny without my disability. Like, what the fuck? But of course I am, like, because if you were a shit comedian, you'd be shit no matter what your ability, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, if I'm making people laugh despite whatever I'm throwing out of my fucking face hole, you know, that's valid. But for some reason I had this narrative of like, oh, I've been coasting on my disability content. Okay. I felt like, I don't know what was going on. And then I had a chat to like Alexandra Hudson about it, and she was like, well, with my comedy, I'm trying to change things. Like, she's got a joke about a law in Queensland. She's literally using that joke to change that law. And so for her, there's no other thing to joke about. Like, she needs to make this for advocacy purposes and to change the world for the better for people like herself. And it just made me like think, where the fuck has this narrative come from that I need to try and be able-bodied just to see if I'm even funny? That's fucking weird. That was a weird thing. So I'm just like, I don't know why. I think sometimes I get a little insecure about how much I'm sharing.
Was that something you ever like put into, like, tried? Was that ever something that you put into practice, or was that just something that you considered?
Something like I considered. It definitely was something that I was considering trying, but I don't know why. Like, because if I'm talking about my own experience, this is part of it. Yeah. And it's part of my everyday. Yeah. And it's a big reason why I do dumb shit. Like, I'm always tripping and falling. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can see this fucking gash from New Year's, but you know, like, I'm always doing dumb shit, and it's because I don't receive the same amount of visual information because I have scarring on my retina. Like, that is why I do stupid shit. It's because my brain is trying to guess what is happening in every moment, especially more so in public than like one-on-one.
Yeah.
So all this awkward shit happens all the time, and it's hilarious. And it's like, why wouldn't I want to talk
Yeah.
about it? So that was a weird thing where I've kind of, over the last few years, like, felt a bit impostery.
I was actually going to say, it sounds like
syndrome.
imposter syndrome for sure.
Yeah, and just like, especially because I felt like comedy came quite naturally to me in just like how I felt on stage. Like, I don't want to be here going like, I'm fucking talented, but you know what I mean? Like, I just really love doing it, and and I really want to get better, and just telling stories has always been a strength. So yeah, I don't know why. I think because I was doing so many gigs so quickly and like stuff like that, I started like second guessing and going, well, if they're only asking me because I'm disabled, I should try some able-bodied content. Like, ew. Internalized ableism right there. We all do it. Like, it's crazy. So that's something that I had to deal with. That I'd like.
Yeah.
So I've redone that narrative. That was a weird one because I can tell funny stories that are like, I call them my able-bodied stories. It's only because I pass in those moments where people don't realize like, I'm never not disabled. Like, literally, never mind. I've got this travel card that expired. So you get free. I get free public transport because I'm ineligible to drive, which is actually a good thing because I've tried it. Not very good. I can do the physical bits. It's just the staying between the lines. The whole thing of driving is like stay between the lines. And I'm like, do you know what? I could totally do this if someone kept me in between the lines.
Just someone to be like, oh, back in.
Yeah. Literally just a different eyeballs, like, or a different pair of arms.
That's what society wants you to think.
Yeah.
They want you in the lines. I think it's fine to drive.
Yeah. All I need is a paddock. I'll make my own roads. Oh. But no, I don't know how we got here, but that's fine. I guess internalized ableism was a thing, and imposter syndrome came up.
Yeah.
And also because comedy can often look like a free reign space in terms of people, what they can say. Like, there's a big thing about free speech. And so early on, I had a lot of more established, older white male comedians deciding to rip on me for my disability or using me specifically by name and my eye condition to segue into sets and stuff because I was before them and I'd done well. So I think I started almost not wanting to share because it is so vulnerable for me. It's my everyday life. Like, I tell you like this much. I tell you an inch of a fucking like 300-kilometer lake of the depths of what disabled means to me, and then they take that little bit off the top that I've decided to share because I find it funny, and then they're just like, I can say this because I'm a comedian as well, and I've got legs and eyeballs, and I'm the same.
It'd probably be like the similar thing too of like how we talked about earlier about being able to see like in small crowds, like that vulnerability, like, oh, you're in this space that usually wouldn't be. Yeah.
And it's quite scary. I had a moment the other day. I did like a pretty good gig at the Paddo. It wasn't too bad. And then I was waiting out the front for an Uber and Georgina had left, which is so fine. I'm like, if she hears this and she's like, oh, why didn't you ask me to stay? No. Anyway, so she got her Uber and I was waiting for mine. And then there was some drunk dudes from the gig that were waiting for theirs. Nothing happened. But I got this like unsafe feeling of like, I've literally told them on stage that I'm basically vulnerable. And I don't know. I just had this moment of like, I think from now on I'll wait inside a venue for an Uber, but... or with someone because it just made me think like I'm opening up about something that could potentially make me vulnerable. I think it's highly unlikely it'll ever come to someone using that because who comes to I don't know, psychopaths probably come to comedy gigs, I'm sure. It's probably the one place they do fucking hang out. Like
most of them are on stage. Oh, no.
Or behind the sound desk.
Whoa.
yeah.
That's not what I'm saying.
yeah. Like,
Sorry,
you know who you are.
Sorry, Tom from No.
No, that was the joke I was making, but love him. I could have just asked him to wait with me, he would have.
Yeah, he would have.
Anyway, I just had this moment of like, oh, I'm actually like being vulnerable, not just telling you, hi, I'm blind and you can use that. It's also like I'm emotionally open when I'm on stage and I'm telling people embarrassing stories, and I don't think anything of it because I think if I tried to write differently, I don't think I could do it. Like, because I'm too honest. Like, if I say something that sounds a tiny bit like a lie on stage, I check myself into a microphone. I'll go, I didn't mean that. Like, I literally check myself, because if it's not authentic to me, I just can't do it. It really rubs me the wrong way if I'm even in a little, like, if my ego gets involved and I start lying to an audience, myself is like, sit the fuck down. Like, that didn't happen. I don't give myself much space to like creatively write, that's for sure. So yeah, I guess I'm like in this space where I'm like, the light's on you and you're being really vulnerable, which is totally all part of the job, and I completely understand it. And then I'm like, and by the way, I'm also disabled, which is extra vulnerable. And then I'm waiting outside the club or the bar afterwards. I've realized that it's actually a little bit scary if I don't have a support worker. Just because, like, I don't know. I know my intention with being on stage, but you can never control other people. And I just had a little fear, like, I don't know if it's irrational, but a fear that, like, oh, I'm standing out the front of not dingy places, but, you know, people are drunk, they're doing whatever, and then I'm just there like, why? Like, I don't know. It felt a bit funny, but maybe that's something to just push through, I guess. Like,
There's well, that being said, there's heaps of, like, you'd know most of the people and that would be on that night. Like, I can imagine any one of them would be happy to wait. Yeah,
totally.
Outside with you and things like that, waiting for an Uber.
Totally.
So.
I do have this stupid, stubborn thing where I'm like, I don't want to be a burden. I don't know if, like, me after I was diagnosed felt like a burden, or I don't know, some sort of inner child thing where I'm like, I can do it myself. I think I've grasped so hard to wanting my independence and not wanting things to change through my diagnosis that now, like, I do find it hard to be like, hey, do you mind? Like, I did it today. So, like, I'm getting better at it, where I was like, hey, do you mind meeting me at the station? Is that cool? Like, because I will get lost. And it's just like, so I am getting better at asking. It's just those really quick moments of like, oh, I don't realize things till later. I don't know if that's an ADHD thing, but I'll be like, oh, that's something I should have asked for. But now I'm outside.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
so
sometimes I don't actually... I think I've just got to bring more presence into my gigs and life to be like, slow down prior and think about what I'm going to need post gig. Because I think I do focus so heavily on like the stage, that part, like getting there on time.
What you're going to say.
And then I don't actually think about what I'm going to need post that. But I did today. I figured but then, I feel less nervous. So I guess the higher the nerves, the more planning. Which is great for ADHD. More planning, great. But hey.
So, with like planning for gigs and things like that, are there any like accessibility requirements needed for yourself, like for gigs or any? Because I just remember, you booked a gig recently.
Yeah.
It was. What was it called again? It was...
Oh, it was just...
I forget what it was. Yeah.
It was part of a conference, but we called it Who Cares Comedy because it was part of... so the Disability Services at Griffith, the lady who was running that conference and often does talks at conferences. She's deaf, and she went through the education system ages ago, back when there was zero support. So she's a very big advocate, and she runs the disability services now and tries to do the best she can to support students at uni. She has a badge that says "Who fucking cares?" And it's when she does her talks, they often ask her to talk on her experience and get panelists like myself up to talk about the experience of studying with a disability, and she wears it to kind of provoke, like, do you even fucking care about this? Like, is this token? Is kind of the question. So we called it Who Cares Comedy, and to pay homage to her badge.
Oh, that's
that she handmade it and everything. So cool. So yeah, and that was part of an Attend conference that was educating universities nationwide about the new and improved ways for disability support. Pretty cool. And then they wanted some entertainment.
Yeah.
And so they called me.
To put together a team.
They told me that last year they showed a disabled film, and I was like, I'm a disabled filmmaker. Why didn't you fucking ask me? But no, they made up for it.
Yeah.
And asked me about comedy, which is so cool. I didn't realize it was going to be streamed. So there was students that were registered for the conference. So like just not kids, because you can study at university at any age, but people with disabilities nationwide that study at university watched us. And apparently the students loved it. Like there was comments like, I just wet myself.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. I didn't realize students were watching. I didn't even know it was going to be streamed. They're a little bit chaotic with the organization of it. And I wish I could have told you guys that was even happening. I didn't even know that was happening. But I knew other employers of universities would be watching, but I had no idea students would be. So when Kathy came up to me after and told me, I was like, oh, that just made that so much more worth it. Like I would much prefer to connect with students and people like us where they're at in their study journey than... It's good to connect with lecturers because a lot of them are ignorant and shit, but some of them are all right. But yeah, no, that was fun.
Yeah. That's why I asked about the accessibility, because I was on that lineup and I remember you asked me, like, do I have any accessibility requirements? And being able-bodied, that was something that I was like, oh, this is actually a nice thing to be out. And you're like, oh, do you need any reminders or
I was like,
snacks?
ADD. Oh, I wish I brought snacks. I got waters there. I didn't get the snacks. But yeah, no, because I just thought, like, having ADD, we forget to eat.
Yeah.
Forget to bring a water. We often, I feel like our anxiety is a little more heightened to new experiences. Well, that's how I feel with my ADHD or just general ill. That would have been a really gross sound, my nose. Anyway, general can't get nothing past me. So I just was like, yeah, like if I was in your shoes, like would I need to be met downstairs versus in the building? But sorry, I didn't get there, but you found the way.
I got there. Yeah. No, it just made me like think, because I guess like for me at least, when I think accessibility, I think like wheelchair access, those type of things. So it kind of has made me start to think about
minimum,
like
that is
it's started to make me think like what else can we be doing?
Yeah, and even though you say that, people don't even think that, you know, people don't even think, will the comics I'm booking require access needs? They're just like, funny, book ya, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not very good at booking, so that it's probably not how people think. But like, yeah, like if you're even thinking access equals wheelchair needs, like some people don't even think that, which is insane. Because that's like literally the picture of like the disabled parks and stuff. Like that is like the thing that most people stereotype as disability. And then people don't think even that much, but I think in performing fields or creative fields, a lot of it can revolve around yourself. So I do understand why it shouldn't be an afterthought, but I do understand that it is. Like it's not good. So you want to know what things? Do you want to know some accessibility things?
Yeah. Well, I was just also like even specifically asking like to you if there's anything that you've gotten to a gig and you're like, oh, this is a bit like it'd be better if it was this way.
Oh, all the time. I often I don't have a lot of depth perception with my condition. So I might be fine getting on a stage, but once I'm up there, getting down can be quite confronting. And I usually just fucking send it. I just go, there's a flaw somewhere. And people wouldn't see that because I'm laughing and being all happy and like, but then there'll be a moment where I I shit myself a little bit, like my stomach's like, whoa, fuck, I don't know how to get down. But I don't often show that. So for me, if I'm doing a new room for the first time, I need extra time. These are things that I have to do for myself this is the other thing, is like accessibility needs are going to be unique to every person. So it would be really lovely if a venue or someone booking could take more of that a little more responsibility of that. But at the end of the day, sometimes you don't know, especially if you're not used to being in a space. So what I've learnt now is I need extra time at a new venue. I need time to orientate the space. Even for me, like I won't know where bathrooms are, and I won't go to the bathroom if I need to a whole night because I can't find them. And why would I look around for them? How embarrassing. Like what stupid things like that where or yeah, is there a loading zone? Like I wouldn't do good chat without a support worker because I don't know where to get an Uber. You know, those sort of things. So so I don't know how to get to. So it's even for me accessing even outside the gig is like, can I get there? Sometimes I fuck up and I really want to do a gig for someone. I say yes, and then I look at where it is, and it's fucking in the middle of nowhere. Like, how was I gonna do Warwick? Like, yeah, I can get a support worker to drive 4 hours, or how far is it?
I have no idea.
It's so far. I would love to do it, but if I go out there, will I have somewhere to stay? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Mum and I could go do that together, but like, holy shit, road trip. So yeah, there's often been, sometimes I do get excited and forget, but for me, I need to know that I can get there, get home safely. And a lot of that is making sure that I have money, because we're doing these things for free. So I did a gig on the north side and didn't realize how much an Uber was going to cost me. So it cost me $70 to get there because I can't drive. And my support worker was away because it was the Christmas period. So it cost me $70 to get there, and I'm doing a gig for free for 5 to 10 minutes. And then I managed getting a lift halfway back, which was so lovely. And so, yeah, the whole night, that was one night, and I had 5 gigs that week. In one night, I spent $90 on transport.
Yeah.
So I'm really investing in this career.
Really hoping it goes somewhere.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't, I'm really enjoying doing it. And me spending money on Ubers, I don't see money as the be-all or end-all of what value, like, it's not the most valuable thing in my life. So if something costs a little more to do, I see that as like, okay, that halves the amount of time, my travel time, which halves my anxiety.
Yeah.
So $50 is going to equate to $50 worth of mental and emotional strain to come down, which I need to do to perform well. So a lot of, for me, accessibility is about managing my anxiety. And then physically, if it's a new space, I'm a lot more nervous. So preferably I don't like going early in a set. Like I don't like being first or second.
Yep.
I know and that's just purely based on anxiety, but also I find audiences hard to warm and be like, oh, disabled. But I don't know if that's just my insecurity thing. I think if I went out with more confidence in the first and second set spots, it wouldn't matter. But I seem to have this little narrative of like, they're going to like me less the less drinks they've had. It's so silly. It's like, maybe you're just not good that night, hey? But yeah, for me, I need to orientate the space on and off the stage with the lighting that it's going to be. Not with the house lights on, which you can never really organise pre-gig, especially not 15 minutes before. So that's a bit of an oops on me. Just a well-marked step would be nice. Often, like, I can't see the edge of the stage and the floor, so that's fun. Yeah. I wouldn't mind just like a check-in when you get there. Like I can't see people in a room. So when I enter a space, you could be anyone. You could be a chair. So people when I don't know if you felt the same way, like you just rock up to gigs. That's kind of the general way they work. You say yes, you rock up, and then you just hope you find where the other comics are. Like half the time I don't see that at all. So if someone's booked me, I'd like them to meet me or at least look out for me and come say hello. That would be nice. Like that does happen. Not all the time though. So yeah, just like they're just a little extra detail on little things, and yeah, they're the main ones. But yeah, once I've been to a gig a few times, I get a bit more confident, and like I've got to settle into a space and feel safe. So yeah, once I've done a gig maybe twice, my brain starts doing my Sherlock Holmes thing, or it remembers everything and spaces and where everything is. But yeah, often I will take support work with me just because I wouldn't be able to do as many gigs as I do and keep up with everyone else. I wouldn't be able to do the same amount of gigs without a support worker because it's just too much. Like the amount of driving that I'm sure, like, not that you do driving, but the amount of travel time you would have and other comics have, like, I've got to figure that out without the luxury of, and same to you, not having a license. Like, it's really tricky. So yeah, I don't know if that helps with my personal accessibility. It's a little, I think it's vague only because, yeah, it depends if it's the first time I've ever done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it depends how comfortable I feel in the space to voice my needs. And yeah, on a visual level, once I've mentally and my muscle memory maps a space, I'm quite good. And that's why I don't use a cane majority of, like, 99% of the time I don't use a cane in my life, because once I've mapped a space, I feel okay. So, and I have enough visual field in my peripheral vision to move around. So yeah, it's one really big thing for low vision and blind is if you say hello to someone, tell them who you are. Like if I'm in a dimly lit room and you just go, "Hey Lily," and start talking to me, it'll take me like a good 20-30 seconds before I'm like, "Oh, it's fucking Pete."
Yeah.
No, not with you. I get you. I would remember your voice straight away. But like, just an example, like, yeah, if you like, and if I'm looking antisocial, it's just purely because I don't have enough visual information to be interactive. Like, I often enter a room and I'll just, "Hey everyone," and just be friendly, because it's better than looking or being perceived as like rude just because I can't see you. And you guys forget that I need to know who you are for me to actually say hello to you. Like you could be a fucking chair. If you're that quiet, I won't notice you. So yeah, it's one of those things where I have to take responsibility of my own needs as well. But also, yeah, I wish more would be done, and don't assume it's accessible.
Yeah.
Don't put two disabled comedians one after the other. Like, that's not from you're putting those two minorities together. It's like, it's actually kind of tricky. Like, if you have, like, me and Emmy Grace were one after the other. Emmy Grace has low vision with her albinism. And because of her setup, like, she's under heaps of stress with what she's got to do. And then I came out and there was two mic stands.
Yeah.
And one had a microphone and one didn't.
I think I was there that night. Yeah.
Oh no. One had a microphone and one didn't have a microphone, and I couldn't see which one had the microphone, and I stood there for like 3 or 4 seconds, which is a lot of time, like dead air of staring at two sticks. So it's like, if you just space us in a way that's going to benefit a set, not to like, I don't know. I don't like
that being said, I will say the dead air thing, 3 or 4 seconds to the audience is nothing, but obviously to you and to make you being comfortable, that is like a long
that's
time.
so true. That's not a long time. But like, and that like throws your set. Like fumbling with microphones is my biggest thrower. Although the other day I did a show and someone's like, "Don't go out yet," and as I went to go through a curtain, they grabbed me. Fuck, that threw my set. Because I'm about to be me, and then you just told me to not be me. Like, that's fucking way to trigger my inner child wounding. My God, like, what do you mean I can't be me? Made me insular. What the fuck? So yeah, don't grab blind people. Like, tell them what you're doing. Say who you are when you're chatting to us. And
is there much of a conversation when being booked about your requirements or
Nope.
needs is all
I've been asked once in 2 years.
once in 2 years?
Actually, when I just filled out the raw.
I was gonna say what
Filling
and
out
like
a
Google.
form?
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask about forms next too.
Yeah. So the raw form asks for access needs, but that's raw. That's not Brisbane people booking. I've been asked once. Kiara asked, which was lovely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've been asked once in 2 years. Which shows how good it is that I pass quite well, obviously. I'm wandering around looking all normal. Wow. No, I do know that I pass, and I mask my autopilot at gigs and in public is to look as able-bodied as possible, because that's what made me feel safe as a child. So I understand that most people forget.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got diagnosed, my mum forgot. She asked me to like read something. She was frustrated. She was in the kitchen. She was like, "Read your sister the." And then she stopped and went, "Oh, wait a minute." And I was like, "I can't. I can't read anymore, Mum." Like, so yeah, I've been asked once.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of forms, just the raw form that I've found.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I really struggle with filling out forms. So a lot of people, I will, in terms of booking gigs and stuff, it'll be over Messenger.
Yeah.
If you ask me to fill out a form, I'm probably not going to even bother. Like, I'll try if I really want to do the gig, but if it's like something that's like would be
in Warwick, no.
no, that was I said yes to without even like thinking. I was just like, yeah, sure. It ended up being cancelled, but which is a shame. But yeah, I sometimes I do oh fuck it, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. This is future Lily's problem.
Yeah. Kind of like a little challenge for myself. Like, how stressed can you get? Like,
how low can you?
Prove yourself. That fucking like, put you through your paces. You know, you're new. You need to drive to Warwick, being legally blind and not having a license. You can do it.
Lines are just a suggestion.
Off-roading, that's where it's at. But yeah, no, I haven't noticed too much of the form thing. I also will sit there and stubbornly like read it, and it's probably the worst. Like when you zoom something in, some of those forms just are so whack, and if there's multiple columns, you'll miss the right-hand side. So just keep in those forms one question in the fucking page. Like don't do the first name, last name, adjacent thing. Just fucking one per line, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to click OK and then it's like, you forgot your postcode. I'm like, well, the postcode didn't exist at fucking a billion zoom in. Like, I don't need a postcode. This is a made-up universe. Not that many comedy gigs are asking for a postcode. I'm just like, am I just sharing my Amazon Primes like beef? Like, what's his name? Fucking fix it.
Yeah.
Bezos.
Fuck, how long are we going for? I think we've gone for a while. I think we've hit nearly what?
I don't know. How long do you usually go for?
We're nearly an hour and a half. That's pretty good.
How long do you usually go for?
50 minutes usually.
Well,
some episodes go for an hour and a half.
I was going to say,
checking.
how long do you want this to go for? Is there anything you really want to know that you want to splice in amongst and take out some of that bullshit we were talking about?
What bullshit? It's all... no.
I'm channeling the divine. Nothing shall be deleted. I am a prophet.
I don't know. I feel like... I guess we can kind of like going towards... Is there anything you wanted to talk about? Like anything that you were like...
No, I don't think so. I hope to become a bit successful. That would be nice. Hopes.
Yeah, hopes.
Any
beef you want to start public?
Yeah.
Anyone you want to call out right now? No.
Gatekeepers of comedy? No, I'm coming for you. No, there ain't no gates. I can't see them. I love a lame blind joke. That's one little bit of beef. if I'm making blind jokes because I feel comfortable, isn't an invitation
Yeah.
for someone to personally attack me. Yeah, just because someone makes jokes about something doesn't mean you can just jump on it. I know that's going to be controversial because free speech and comedy, but I'm just talking in general. Like, I'll have it where I literally said to someone after an improv day thing, like, oh, often people feel a bit weird and they might treat me a bit different, and because I've been making blind jokes to overcompensate because I look able-bodied, people start doing it to me as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, me overdoing the blind jokes in just general conversation must open a window or a door for them to be like, haha, you're blind, which is not very funny.
Yeah.
So if you can learn a little bit about someone, get to know them, and then be quite creative with a joke about their disability, or obviously it's so individual to every person, but like if you know me, you're probably going to make a much funnier joke than like just you're blind. Because
yeah, I feel like a lot of because I think I've seen that too with like MCs and stuff. A lot of it's just kind of the same.
It's a bit boring.
Like it's just like a super like easy.
Super easy.
And the crowd always pulls back. The crowd's never into it when someone else is doing it.
No,
for the most
and
part.
it's really funny. It's like I understand just from like an ADHD point of view. Is like sometimes I do get on stage and I don't know what I'm saying. Like I'll just like kind of blah blah blah, or like word vomit, and I do get that maybe that could be a thing. Like people are just going blah, but
yeah. I guess yeah, it might be. I guess in the MC kind of position, they might be like, okay, what can I do to link back to this previous act?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make it any more okay, and there needs to be that conversation there. But
and sometimes because I can't see who you are, like someone will say something on the stage and then come back and go, thanks, you were really cool about that. But I don't know who the fuck they are.
yeah.
I know them from their voice, and I'll realize halfway through them thanking me for being submissive to their ableism, like that it's who they were. And it's like, if I then later after a gig message you and just say, hey, that was a bit inappropriate, don't do the sorry if.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry if that offended you. No, I'm actually checking you for causing me harm. There's no sorry if that. You can just, I don't know. Like, I understand people thinking that, like, comedy's free reign and you can say what you mean. But if someone reaches out to you because they felt that, obviously I've been sitting there thinking about it too. Like, if I message you later because I didn't feel like I could actually communicate a boundary with you in real time because of my disability, I don't know, maybe just hear it. I don't know. Like, if I ever say anything, like, I hope someone would check me, because I don't want to be that type of person who's going out into the world.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what you've said. If it harms, it's harmed, you know.
Yeah.
Because you can't control, once that leaves your mouth, how someone's going to feel. But if someone has the courage enough to then message you about it or tell you in real time that that didn't feel appropriate, or that I didn't like that, like, I don't know. Be nice. Be fucking nice.
Yeah, be nice.
Be nice. Or just take time to think. Get present. Get a mindfulness book. Eckhart Tolle. Power of Now. Get on it.
Be present.
Be present. Because the present is a gift.
Speaking of being present, what's next?
What's next?
What's next?
I probably need some water. I'm feeling a bit hot.
Need some water? Yeah.
Feeling a bit
Hey,
sticky.
I offered aircon.
You did.
I offered aircon.
You did.
We went without.
We went without because
you can't do a fan with a podcast scenario.
Also, my soundy brain would be triggered that you would have an aircon on and it going underneath.
Low hum it. Yeah.
Send it to me. I can take that shit out, but it's just annoying that you put it in there in the first place. I think I'm gonna just keep gigging. I'm still on this bit of a snowball, like rolling down a hill train of like even 2 years in now. I'm just seeing what comes my way. And I did have a goal last year to do some interstate gigs, and I did that. So maybe, I don't know if I want to do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the longer we're doing it, I'm like, do we start thinking about an hour?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have it, like, are you planning on doing any of the festival stuff?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Should I?
Maybe.
I'm asking for the kick. Push me up the cliff. I don't know. I see myself doing an hour, but not for a while. But maybe that's me perceiving that I've got so much more to learn.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I would love to do a more inclusive set for blind people. So a lot of my comedy is talking about my condition to able-bodied people, because that's just the majority of the audience. Like, fuck, it's not Vision Australia. You can't just fill a room. But in doing that, I'm also a very physical person. So I'm often doing weird things with my body, and I'm like kind of reenacting things and being a gremlin or being the Grinch or whatever. And that's very visual. So that excludes my community. And if I was watching from the audience, I wouldn't understand what was going on if it was purely visual. So if I was to do an hour, I really want to incorporate like audio description where I record a voiceover of describing what's happening, but use that as comedy throughout an hour. Cool. So I've got plans to make it a lot more inclusive, and I would have more time to do that, because it's really hard for me to describe what I'm doing in a 5-minute set in case there's one blind person there. And really, I feel like I wish that I could do it right, whatever right means, but do it as accessible as inclusive as possible each time. But in 5 minutes, really hard to get like 4 jokes out, and then it also to cater to people that have low vision or no sight. So that's a goal, to have an inclusive hour. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But cool. And win Raw. No. Because Raw's the be-all and end-all of comedy.
Become famous.
Yeah, become famous. Make money. But no, I would really love to go to Melbourne. Like, even like with Raw, or maybe not. But an hour is intimidating.
Yeah.
For me. Unless I just go down the improv route and just become an improver, and then I can do that for an hour. That feels more comfy almost, because I'm like, I don't have to write. But it doesn't mean it won't be shit.
All right.
I don't know.
Where can people find you?
Oh, me?
Yeah, on the
Instagram?
socials.
Oh, most of my comedy stuff's on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Sounds a little narcissistic, but my tag is at the Lily Mitchell.
Not a Lily Mitchell.
No, just the Lily Mitchell. So TheLilymItChell, and that's me. I did that. I did that because I saw people that I really loved following on Instagram getting like scammed, and my old tag used to have like dots and an underscore in it, and I was like, well, if people want to like scam my friends, it would be a lot easier to do with the dots and the underscores, to like create something that looks similar to that than the Lily Mitchell, like one word. So I went with the one word to fuck up my future scammers, because I'm going to be so famous. How funny is that? So the Lily Mitchell is me on Instagram. I don't have TikTok. My sister tried it for a bit. It's not very accessible for blind people. Haha, funny that. And then I'm just like got a normal Facebook, which is Lily Mitchell. When I started, I wasn't sure if I was going to use my real name, but it's started now. So
the ball's rolling.
It's done. That first gig, if you go out, that's your name, right? Certainly can't change it now. I'm like, does it even sound like a famous name? I guess it doesn't, because it's not yet. Whoa!
Nothing does until it does.
But thanks.